All right, WonderCon 2022. It's been 2 years. Honestly, I've been waiting to speak to you guys for a while for anything you guys had coming out in DC Animated. Like, you know, I've interviewed you a few times. Everything that you guys come out with, it's killer. But the thing that we want to talk about today is Blue Beetle.
Which is also killer.
It is killer. It is killer. But I know there's a feature film coming out next year on a different Blue Beetle, but this one's going to focus a little bit more on Ted Kord. Let's start off with you. What is probably, between the two, is Ted Kord your Blue Beetle?
I love Jaime as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a great character. I think he's really, he really pops. And in fact, I was really lucky. Michael Jelenic and James Tucker had me do a Blue Beetle episode for Batman Brave and the Bold, now available on HBO Max. I think it's episode 6.
Starring Will Wheaton.
And
I boarded on that one.
And that's why it's so good. And we used both of them. And I had to do a deep dive into that character, and that deep dive actually involved me just calling Jeremy and asking him.
Yes, because I'm a Blue Beetle nut. I think it was the first book that I purchased was the one with its modern comics before Charlton, and it was Ted Kord with the squids, and there was like a little like small B story with the question.
Do you mean you bought the comic?
Yeah, the
of
comic.
That? Not like the Amazing Heroes DC Archives thing?
It was one of the first comics I ever bought, if not the first comic.
You mean when you were a kid?
Yeah. It's my favorite. Because he's like Spider-Man without powers. He's kind of like a funny Batman in a way. And so obviously my obsession with Ted Kord started there. So when we started talking about this, I knew exactly where we were going to go.
I do remember you saying, so before Ted Kord, there was another Blue Beetle named
Garrett.
Garrett, and I went, I'm sorry, what?
Dude, I'm so much of a Blue Beetle nerd. There is like a mini YouTube Blue Beetle documentary that I made on that's just
there's not.
Yeah, and it's just me going like, and it's terrible, but it's just
You
like,
gotta send me the link after.
Oh, it's so
I gotta
bad.
watch
It's
it.
so bad.
You know, just
Right,
one
you heard it here
Yeah,
first.
it goes all the way through. So
Is it just a dramatic reading?
yeah, basically, yeah. I do it with an accent and.
Can we get that animated and have that as a future release?
I mean, obviously, I really love it because right now I write comics and I created Gold Beetle, which is like a mesh of Blue Beetle and Booster Gold.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm a nut for it.
It only took, we're less than 30 seconds
And I had to
and Jeremy has already shilled his comic book.
Yeah, please buy the Flash comic book.
Yeah, don't worry about his 2 daughters who need to eat.
Right.
So I know the past few years we've been in this pandemic. Can you guys tell us about?
have?
Yeah. Can you tell us how like production on this has gone? You know, especially like I know there's a lot of people that especially with voice acting, it's easier to do a lot of this stuff from home. Like people are making work. But how has this affected production on this project?
Well, you know what? For this one, it didn't, because we actually finished this stuff up before we
perfect.
got sent home.
All the shorts?
Yeah, I think we might have been finishing up a little bit of post-production, but that's basically just me and the sound guys and editors and stuff like that. And but as far as like the heavy lifting of design and all that, thankfully that was all done before COVID hit, so we were in a good spot.
But it has been, so I've been told that animation is the division of Warner Brothers that never slowed down at all during the pandemic.
No.
So if you were negotiating with the writers and creators of animation, you might want to bump their rates. I'm just saying, that's just a thought I would have, but it's not a political statement in any.
Nice. Now, Jennifer, you were screenwriting for this story. What about Ted Kord did you want to highlight as far as exposing some of the new fans to the character?
Well, I liked the fact that he was easily irritated by the question, and kind of awkward. So I wanted to lean into the comedy of that.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was the most fun about writing.
Because it brings out most of Ted Kord's personality that way.
Yes, exactly. Like he just doesn't have the patience. He just wants to do it the way he wants to do it.
Well, I remember you reading about all these characters and you kind of fixating on the fact that Nightshade is actually a society debutante.
Oh, yeah.
And so like one of her lines is that would be worse than wearing white after Labor Day, or
or brunch in Palm Springs. Or
There was another line that you wrote that I loved, which was the question finds something, and it's the bottle cap, and he says, "Is it a button? Because I lost one from my glove."
I like to lean into wardrobe for my comedy, particularly when it's superhero based.
Now, as a big Blue Beetle fan, have you knocked on the doors and made a few calls to kind of like lend some influence or your expertise to the people working on it right now?
They won't let me near that thing.
Do you know where the door is, or have the phone number?
I mean, listen, I beg thee.
a little Twitter post tagging anybody and everybody, working on products. Like, hey, if you guys need, a consultant or liaison for anything
That's right.
Beetle,
I like you.
give me some ideas.
Jeremy has a YouTube video about how the controls in the bug work.
Oh my gosh. I made my own little plastic bug. It's terrible. I mean, it's like, I don't know
You
what.
did not.
Yeah. Because it's Easter time, I took a blue, it doesn't matter, but I made this entire like playset bug because I really I don't even know why, but Justice League International was such a big part of my growing up experience.
I would like to call out Rick's, how would you say, production designing of the bug.
Yes.
The fact that it has reel-to-reel computers.
Yeah.
And that it spits out cards with punch holes in it.
Yeah.
And it's all super analog, and it made me so happy. Because I grew up thinking that's what computers looked like, that there were giant reel-to-reels on it. I'm so disappointed that it fits in my pocket.
But that was such one of the most incredible thing about that short was obviously Jim has this undying affection for the other character that had a cartoon around that time that Ditko made.
The other one with the theme song.
Yeah, theme song. It's great. That we can't say, but Tom Holland's doing a great job. But I'm just saying that's, like you said, the cornerstone to your career.
Yeah, hashtag Thweep.
Yes, because he has a YouTube video in which Jim Krieg plays a character.
No, we need to start like a little playlist before you guys leave.
I didn't put that on there. I don't
It's on YouTube.
I don't self-promote, Jeremy.
It's on. I'm going to promote it for you. But watching it and watching this thing that feels like a show that could have existed with the color that switched and just
exactly
hilarious.
What we were trying to do.
It's so good.
It was meant to feel like this was a pilot that was made in '67 that's just been sitting on a shelf somewhere that we picked up and.
Let me ask you a production question, Rick. Was it challenging to make it look like the mistakes are on purpose? Like there must have, because now things are so slick.
We had to plan it. Yeah, we had to plan it. So there's obviously there's hookup problems from shot to shot, and there's characters that
hookup now means something else.
Yeah. Whoa.
Well, there are those too.
Whoa. Scandal.
But we just did fun stuff with it. We had a lot of fun with it, like just leaning into the mistakes, but really we had to plan all of it out because everything's so slick now. And it actually took some work because guys are used to doing things right. And it's like the funniest conversation that I had is, with the animation studio that we work with. I had my first meeting with them and they were like, so, we reviewed the animatic and are we gonna get a lot of notes on this stuff? Like, no, you will probably not get any notes. This will probably be the least know everything that you've ever worked on, because every mistake that is there is meant to be there, because that's, you watch the old Spider-Man show and it was just...
The mistakes are beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
So, well, with a lot of these shorts, in the back of your mind, do you kind of hope that they become backdoor pilots to maybe future projects that you guys want to work on and make feature films on these specific characters?
I mean, I don't think of them like that. For me,
I'm always hoping to have a job, and this would be the staff of that show, and I'm sure we would do it in a heartbeat.
I mean,
to do that show,
dude,
to do like 11 minutes episodes, I would just crank them out.
Any of these shorts really, I think would be a killer time to do. But as we're making them, I'm not really thinking about it as that kind of showcase, this is something.
Rick lives in the moment. I'm living for tomorrow.
Well, since we don't know whose door to knock on right now.
My door, please.
Well, let's say this video does get some traction. What types of advice do you have for the makers of the film that you absolutely want them to incorporate into the new film?
The live action?
Yes.
I would love for it to harken back to these classic Blue Beetle characters. I think it'd be, even if it's not an extended part of the plot, just a tip of the hat to Ted Kord and Dan Garrett would be nice.
Yeah.
But I think that what's baked into it already is that the Jaime Reyes version is funny.
Yeah.
And I think we like the humor that's built into a lot of these Silver Age characters.
Okay.
Not always intentional humor, but it's certainly there.
That's a great answer. And Booster Gold.
Yeah.
Because Booster's always had a great
gosh.
relationship. with
Direct
Ted.
connection. You also gotta have both of them.
Yep.
And speaking on Booster Gold, I know at least in the CW verse, I think Donald Faison's Booster Gold. Since you are the resident Blue Beetle, expert,
Fanatic, sure. You can say it. I understand.
who would you have as his Blue Beetle, his Ted Kord?
Oh, it's what's the guy, the Garden State guy, Zach Braff.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
has
Just
to
do
be.
Has to be.
Scrubs.
Yeah, it has to be.
That's a really
It
funny
has to be
idea.
him. I mean, that's my feeling. Like, one thing about Blue Beetle in general, like the Ted Kord Dan Garrett relationship, was just like, what's interesting is his origin story is basically built on a promise. He becomes a superhero built on a promise. He can't even activate the magic of the scarab. And so he just becomes this techno genius, wisecracking superhero. And then Jaime Reyes, it depends on his origin story. I always think of the Blue Beetle archetype as just a story about brotherhood in a way. So I would lean into the heart of that for the new movie.
I wrote for Donald on the Clueless TV series.
Did you?
That
That's
watched
what you
when
promote?
You were a tiny child. But I also love Diedrich Bader's Booster because
Yeah.
Diedrich Bader can do anything and he's a great actor. And big deal. Who cares? He makes a great dummy. Nobody can do a dummy like him, and it's so fantastic because his Blue Beetle doesn't know he's dumb.
Right. Right.
You guys, thank you so much for taking the time, especially at WonderCon. It's honestly really great to speak to you on these animated films because I'm we spoke many times before. I live for these the DC animated universe.
We love you.
Yeah. I live for every single thing that comes out, and having that whole catalog on HBO Max now, it's like you're spoiled. You're just spoiled. Yeah. So I cannot wait for this movie, these shorts. So thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.